Browns have made a signing the week of the NFL draft, so we're going to break it down on today's episode and talk about some trade rumors that could come out of this signing. But the NFL draft is this Thursday. The Browns are back in the top 50 for the first time since 2021. We will be live on the channel, so make sure you come hang out with us. And if you haven't yet, please subscribe. We're going to have videos for every single pick made by the Brownies. So join 43,000 and hit that sub button down below if you haven't already. But let's get you guys familiar with the newest member of the Cleveland Browns roster. It is cornerback Nik Needham. He was a UDFA out of UTEP who signed with the Dolphins. A very cool story as a UDFA not making the initial 53-man roster, but eventually making the way to the roster his rookie season, and then having a 6-year career with Miami. Now, unfortunately, towards the end of his time with the Dolphins, it went downhill a little bit. The guy opened up his career with 3 seasons with 2 interceptions in each year. However, he suffered a torn Achilles halfway through 2022. Took him a little while to bounce back from that in 2023. Didn't make the 53-man roster in 2024. Spent much of the year on the Dolphins practice squad, but did get called up and played in 2 games. Now, Daniel Ofusi, who is the ESPN beat reporter for Cleveland, he used to cover the Dolphins, so I am going to put a lot of stock in whatever he has to say about a player that he has some, real familiarity with, saying extremely reliable defensive player before the Achilles injury. If healthy, this could be a sneaky good pickup in the later stages of free agency, special teams experience too. So if Daniel likes it, I like it because I did not know this guy existed before this morning. But anytime you see a sneaky signing tossed in there, yeah, that's going to move, no pun intended, the needle a little bit. In his career, 6 interceptions, all of which came in the first 3 years of his NFL career. He's hopped around from safety to corner to nickel, so you got to love the versatility that he brings because if an injury pops up, which, let's be honest, look at the cornerback room for a second. We know the Warden's injury history. Greg Newsome's had some injuries in his career. It's nice to have a flexible guy that can hop around. Plus, Delpit had an injury, 2 years ago at this point. So there are a couple of ways of looking at this signing. The most, calm way of looking at it is, hey, the Browns don't think it's a very good cornerback class. And that's not a very rare opinion to have. I think we're going to see a bit of a run on corners in round 1-ish because the round 2 kind of crop of corners, not very good. So if you want one, you better get one early because once they go, they're gone. So that's a very simple way of looking at this signing. The Browns want a corner. They're doing their pre-draft homework. They're like, well, we're not going to go corner early. We put Travis Hunter at receiver predominantly. So if we need to fill this void, we should do it now in free agency but before the draft is over. That way we're not racing other teams after the draft for veteran players. The other way of looking at this is trade rumors surrounding Greg Newsome. Did the Browns sign Nik Needham because they are preparing to move on from Newsome, and Needham, who has a lot of familiarity and a lot of experience working out of the slot, could be an easy, young, cheap replacement at that same position. I want to talk about this in more detail in just a moment, but I do have to give a quick shout out to our friends over at Game Time. Game Time has so many awesome deals for the Dog Pound. They make getting tickets even faster and easier. Prices on the Game Time app actually go down the closer it gets to the first pitch. With killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and their lowest price guarantee, Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets. So if you want to go to a Cavs game or you want to go to a Guardians game, make sure you visit Game Time. Last minute deal. Save up to 60% off buying last minute for sports, concerts, comedy, theater, and more. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CHATSPORTS for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Let's talk about Newsome potentially getting dealt because there have been a lot of people who have started to connect the dots on, hey, with this cornerback signing, does that mean the Browns are more flexible to move on from Newsome? I kid you not, within like 5 minutes of this signing being announced, I had someone on Twitter going, hey, are the Browns going to trade Newsome now? So you know who you are. This video is for you. The former first-round pick is going into the fifth-year option, which is a fully guaranteed $13.3 million. So if there is motivation for the Browns to trade Newsome, I think it's more so to get that $13.3 million off their books rather than get some draft capital, because I don't believe anyone's giving up any good premium picks for Newsome. However, at this point in the offseason, you've already made the shavings you needed to from your books. So getting a bunch of salary cap relief is not going to help you go out and make any big signing at this stage, but maybe help you make a big trade if you wanted to. But like I was saying, I think if there's any motivation for the Browns to move on from Newsome, it's probably not because they can get a lot for him in a trade. It's probably because they are accepting, hey, while this wasn't a complete bust of a first-round draft pick, Newsome has been a starter since his rookie season. He's going to be a starter in this league, whether he's on the Browns in 2025 or with another team. He's going to be a starter in this league for, I'd say, 8 to 9 seasons. And for being a late round one pick, 8 to 9 years of starting, cornerback play, not the worst investment in the world. So I feel partially, I wouldn't say responsible, but partially, at fault for so much trade smoke being around Newsome, because it's been a topic we have discussed before on the channel. And I just want to say, this is a business, but if Newsome does end up getting dealt, it'll be a little bit on the bittersweet side, because I know that his celebrations when the Browns are down 20 and he's locking players up in the fourth quarter is a bit annoying. However, the guy loves Cleveland. He went to Northwestern. He's from the Chicagoland area. And here he is tweeting out about the Cavs in 4. He hosts a charity softball game every single summer in Cleveland. He has really embodied the land. And whenever you get a player who just goes, head first into a city, those players tend to be fan favorites. And they're not fun to move on from. So if the Browns do move on from Newsome, from the business side of things, I get it. He's been, often injured in his career with the Browns. He's only played, one season with more than 14 games. And even then, he's never played a full 17-game season. The closest was when he just played 15. And they sat him in the, pointless Week 18 game against the Bengals, but he still missed one game earlier. So nickel and diming him there. But 3 out of the 4 years, he has missed, a good percentage of games so far. So I can understand how the Browns get to the point of, hey, we should explore trade options for Newsome if we can get, a half-decent pick out of it and get $13 million off of our books. So let me know. Would you trade Greg Newsome for, say, a 5th-round draft pick? Give me a yes, give me a no in the comment section below. 5th rounder, you get that $13.3 million, you've got my interest, that's for sure. The other side of the coin here that often gets neglected is if you don't trade him and you hold on to him and you let him go in free agency, people often look at that as a major miscalculation by the team. Oh, you should have traded him. You could have got something for him. Now he just walked in free agency. Greg Newsome could yield you more in a compensatory draft pick depending on the type of year he has and the next contract he signs. And the Browns might look at it as, hey, we can get Newsome for 2025 and get a 5th-round draft pick by letting him go in free agency and getting that comp pick. So we end up getting the same round pick and a year of play for him. That's the best of both worlds right there. But you are, of course, betting on him having a good enough year where he gets a good enough contract to get you around the same level of a draft pick from the compensatory formula. Also, in that formula, if you make a bunch of signings, it offsets some of the losses you had. So it's not an exact one-to-one. The formula is a bit of a secret, right? It's like KFC, 7 herbs and 11 spices, or something like that. Yeah, I think I got it right. If you ever go to KFC's Twitter, they only follow, I think it's 11 people. The 5 Spice Girls and 6 people named Herb. I kid you not. Yeah. Anywho, 11 herbs and spices. So that's also a piece of the Greg Newsome trade rumor factor is, well, if you're not going to get much for him to begin with, why not keep him? And you could get a comp pick for him out of it. All right, before we get on out of here, quick plug for future me. We're going to have another video on the channel talking about some draft rumors pertaining to the Browns from ESPN's Adam Schefter that came out this Monday. That was going to be this video, but then they signed Nik Needham, so I'm pushing that to tonight. So make sure you circle back in a few hours for the latest going into the 2025 NFL Draft. I thought we'd just spend, 60 seconds talking about what a nice butt kicking this was right here from the Cavs. When I walked into work this morning, our Heat guy, Nick Roloff, is beyond defeated. He's honestly rooting against the Heat at this stage because he wanted them to miss out in the playoffs and get in the lottery because he knew this ass kicking would come. But kudos to the Cavs for continuing the trend or being a part of that Sunday trend of home teams essentially dominating, except for the Timberwolves, right? But the Cavs, Donovan Mitchell did not look like a man coming off an ankle injury. He put up, fun fact, ready? 30 points. This is the 7th straight series where he has had at least 30 points in game one, tying Michael Jordan, who has 2 streaks of 7 series. So when the Cavs advance from round 1, if D-Mitch can put up 30 in game 1 of the next series, he will have the record all to himself. Oh, and by the way, a big shout out to Ty Jerome for making a boatload of cash because he was fantastic off the bench with 29 points, a lot of it coming in the fourth quarter when things kind of tightened up a little bit. So Ty Jerome, you made yourself a lot of money. So what's your confidence level in the Cavs to win the East? Between them and the Celtics, where are you at? Scale it 1 to 10. The Knicks, they are the quintessential pretenders, not contenders. They have always turtled up the moment they play real competition, and no one else in the East really looks like that serious of a contender to win the conference. All right, let's pick a card and get you guys on your way. Reed, which card do you want to go with? Nope. If it's not working, okay. Well, that's wonderful. Ace of clubs. Give me 3 of diamonds. 30 for D-Mitch. 2 of diamonds. 2 of diamonds. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Click that like button on your way out, and I'll see you all in a few hours.